one brand new head teacher.
There is always that aspect that you put your head on the pillow at night and you do know that you are in charge of a school, and it is a huge responsibility.
And an experienced leadership coach.
I feel like I'm able to bring a real balance of acknowledging what the concerns are, but also being very, very positive about what the potential can be.
Over the next few weeks, Lee McAuliffe will work with head teacher Marie Corbett on her leadership skills.
I struggle with it a little bit.
Through their work, we'll see some useful approaches to how a new head teacher and a deputy can build a strong working relationship. And there'll be useful tips from the coach at the end of the programme. One of the biggest challenges all new head teachers face is how to develop a good working relationship with the deputy head. We visited Invicta Primary School in Blackheath, where Marie Corbett has been head for just 4 weeks.
It was the dream job, it's the top job, it's the job that people aspire to, and I just feel so lucky that I'm in that position now.
We'll follow Marie as she takes the first steps towards setting up a successful partnership with her new deputy, Ken Maslin.
The biggest challenge that I face at the moment is having just appointed a brand new deputy, which has been fantastic. However, we now have to establish a working relationship together that's going to benefit the school. Ultimately, as a head teacher, the book does stop with you, and so sometimes it can be quite isolating.
Educational coach Lee McAuliffe will help Marie to build good foundations for a strong leadership team. Previously one of the youngest heads in the country, he's confident that Marie can develop an excellent working relationship with Ken.
For me, the best bit of working in schools is about seeing people develop. Obviously, seeing children develop and excel, and seeing staff develop their skills, their confidence levels increase, and they get their own development in a very powerful way. I want to be able to leave this afternoon knowing that I have helped her in some specific way.
I'm Marie, pleased to meet you.
To think through the issue, take a few specific actions.
Being clear on your leadership style, according to Lee, will help determine how you work with others in your senior management team. He starts with an exercise that gets Marie to clarify her vision of headship.
And what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to think of 9 words that you want leadership at Invicta Primary School to be described as. So that they're the words that for you are important.
OK, this may take a while. Organised. Thoughtful. Enabling. Passionate. Partnership.
If I could ask you now to look at those and think of which 3 would go in the middle as absolutely or non-negotiables, that they're your sort of, as a leader, I'm going to live or die by these ones.
Right.
And then those are still important, but they're less important, and they're ones that are not actually at the core.
Partnership, I think, has to be at the centre of everything.
OK.
To be strong about my own principles. Partnership in the middle, strong and passionate on either side of partnership. And then I suppose I would put inspirational next. This is really difficult now. It's a good task.
Why is it difficult?
To sort of single things out on their own almost seems like it's less important. And now I've sort of committed to these words as sort of principles that are important to me.
Tell me just a little bit more about why partnership is central, and who is the partnership with, do you see, and what's the partnership for?
Well, it's my partnership with the school. First and foremost, I've got that partnership that I'm wanting to set up with the deputy head, and that's really, really important that we establish a good partnership. I don't see myself as a head teacher who's up there on, you know, in the ivory tower.
Lee is convinced that having a strong vision of how you will lead your school will help you develop a successful working relationship with your deputy. Now Marie has established that partnership is at the core of her leadership style, Lee encourages her to think about how this will affect her plans for working with staff.
What's going well in terms of partnership as a leader?
Partnership in terms of the office staff is going well. It's now the distributed leadership, it's that element of partnership that I really need to focus on. And so small steps, starting with the deputy head.
And if you were to think about a manageable goal that you'd set yourself about working with the deputy and developing that, what would that be?
What I need to develop with us is that critical friend element to our partnership.
So if we then think about what your goal would be for this session.
I mean, my initial idea is to develop clear lines of communication. We need to create the opportunities, first of all.
OK, then. So we've got to create opportunities for quality feedback in a safe environment. And it's meant that the focus of our session now is really specific, rather than thinking about communication.
Next, Lee gets Marie to think in more detail about her ideal vision for working with her deputy.
If I project you forward, say, 6 months' time, where this goal is happening exactly as you want it to be, what would be happening?
We've set up a series of meetings that we need to have about a series of topics or issues, and they've got clear, action plans for each one, and that we've agreed those together.
What would be the benefit of you doing that?
Sharing the leadership of a school with somebody would relieve a huge amount of pressure.
Now it's time to come up with an action plan.
So should we think now perhaps about lots of different things that you could try to achieve this?
Having a dedicated space each week to meet properly without distractions, where we can really talk about our roles and our vision for the school. Something that's worked really well in the past is having space away from school sometimes, so not always holding our meetings in school, because that can get interrupted. If the dates are set in the diary and they're not going to be double booked, it's because we've shared motives with the staff. And the other actions, I need to have a discussion with the deputy head and make sure that he agrees that this is a good idea. Yep.
That's our end goal. And these, literally now, are all of the actions that are the journey to achieving that.
Something that's worked really
According to Lee, an action plan is worthless unless dates are put in place to achieve it.
One of our first dates,
Oh, yes, yeah.
the discussions, needs to be around what our targets are what we need to achieve this half term. This is something that we can do almost immediately within the next week. We need to share with the staff what our approach to setting up our leadership team is. I've added in there Wednesday because that's when we have our senior management team meetings.
Great. If I ask you, to be honest, how committed are you to achieving all of these?
Yeah, no, 100%, definitely.
Fabulous. And it might be an idea then to stick those on the appropriate day in your diary.
Absolutely.
And you've got those as prompts for next week.
Should go do that straight away. That's been fantastic.
Thanks,
bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later, Lee. Bye. What was really nice is I've got some really short-term goals that I need to start work on tomorrow, but I also know how it's going to look, in 6 months' time.
It's been a week since Lee and Marie's coaching session. Lee watches footage of how Marie has been developing her working relationship with Ken, the first step being joint assemblies.
We started on Friday doing our first assembly together. How do you think that went?
I thought it was really good, actually. It felt really nice to have that shared sort of responsibility for that particular tiny little thing part of the school. But I think the children got a lot from it.
We speak about distributing leadership within schools, and it's great that the deputy feels included on that.
I'm feeling much more confident now about working with the leadership team. We've really been able to pick apart some of the aspects of our leadership team that we want to develop, and have had really honest conversations about that.
Marie's organised a meeting with Ken that sets out how they'll work together for the rest of the term.
But last week we talked a little bit about almost like having a statement or a mantra. Invicta, where children's interests are at the heart of everything we do, and that's going to be our goal.
Yeah. Do we need to agree that with staff?
We can.
I think we
take the bull by the horns and we announce that
We
this
tell
is...
them.
It's hardly something controversial, is it?
I love that bit. I really love that bit because that's about her having that confidence as a leader to say, actually, this is not negotiable. It's about the children, and that's just a given.
You know, you've popped your head round the door and, you know, said, how's your meeting been or what kind of morning have you had? And that's made a real difference to me because it means that I know that even though sometimes I'm working on my own, that there's somebody else who's part of that whole system and who cares about it.
No, it's good because it reminds me halfway through the week when I'm, you know, knee deep in children that I'm a deputy as well. This is the third, isn't it?
Yeah. Planning. Monitoring.
Yeah.
I love the way that Marie is so specific about not only what she wants to do, but also when exactly that's going to happen.
Now we planned all these meetings. What do we do if we have an event where we can't make one of them?
This is about them really working together in partnership. They've got the idea, they're going to put an objection, what happens if we can't meet on that particular day, and they're already planning for how they will manage that situation.
And if for some reason there's a problem that means we really can't do it, then we have to make time in the week.
The answer to the question is there won't be a time where we miss one.
They're talking about strategy, they're talking about moving the school forward, but it's great to see that rapport between them.
Unless we're both up sick because we're so tired.
Having watched the footage of Marie, Lee calls her with his final thoughts.
Do you want to perhaps just tell me a little bit about what the main things that you've been doing or discussing? What have been the highlights?
The communication's been really open and I definitely feel like I'm getting really constructive feedback from Ken.
If you had to have a sort of a picture in your mind, almost an image of you as a head teacher now as opposed to just a few weeks ago, what would that be and how would that have changed?
Well, the picture a few weeks ago would have been very much in terms of myself in isolation, whereas now I feel I have much more support in terms of my role. And I know, speaking to Ken, the deputy head, that he's also feeling much more supported in taking on his new role.
I think the first tip would be really articulate what values are important to you. So be really clear about what are the non-negotiables. Next, I'd say date all of your actions. So that means that there's good follow-through, which is important for your credibility as a leader, so that your staff know that what you've agreed to do actually happens. My third top tip would be about celebrate, and by that I mean celebrate the small steps. Headship's a big task for the longer term, so celebrate the small interim steps to sustain your motivation, your energy and your commitment. When I think about the future for Marie, I think one of the best things that I've heard is that she no longer sees herself as solitary. And I think in terms of her sustaining her energy, her brilliant enthusiasm for the children, I think that bodes really well.
Now I feel much more confident as a head teacher and also as a leader of this school. I'm really proud to be doing it and really excited, although quite tired, really excited about leading the school into the next half term.